Great day, attractive thinker and visual encouragers. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at the Attractive Thinker Guru. I want to encourage you to go there and get your free gifts. We have some really nice gifts for you to show you how to turn your problems into your solutions. You don't want to miss that. And I know, attractive thinkers, that you've been enjoying these episodes of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. We see that you've tuned in. I want to encourage you to click the like button. Click the share button, share this message. I just had an attractive thinker get in touch with me today and said that she enjoyed our last episode. One of our last was, I believe, Tichet, it was a mental break without the guilt, and that she was going to share it with her circle of influence. That's what we do when we come across good information or anything that we enjoy. We like to share it. So I want to encourage you to do that. And please leave your comments. We love your comments. We want to know what's working for you, how you're interpreting these messages. Welcome, my co host, Tichet Bradshaw, to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance.
Happy Mindset Monday, everybody. We made it. We made it again. We get to do what we've never done, go where we've never gone, and have all that we deserve to have in this lifetime. It's a great day to be alive.
It is a fantastic and amazing day to be alive. I want you to write that down in your attractive thinker notebook. I know you have your pen handy. I want you to write that down because I know you hear us say that all of the time, but I want it to resonate with you on a deeper level. It truly is a great day to be alive. This is not another day. This is a new day, attractive thinker and visual encourager. This is a new day, a day you've never seen before, and you have no idea what's in store for you. You know, sometimes we go through things in our lives and we wonder why things had to be the way that they are, or why we had to go a certain route. I know I did. The path that I took and the where my journey led me, when I was through the journey, when I had overcome some things and, had settled in the other side of the journey, questions come to your mind. I wanted to know, like, why, or you ponder sometimes and say, well, wonder what would have happened had not that happened, or what would have happened had I said this or done this or took the other path or made another decision or whatever that might be it a success or a heartbreak. It doesn't matter what it is. Those questions arise even after a great success. I wonder what life would have been if I'd taken another path, or if I had pushed a little further, or went a little, harder in a certain direction, or did more work, or connected with another type of person or another group of people. We always have these questions. And what we fail to realize a lot of times, to shed, is the experience itself. That's one aspect of our journey. But what happens in us as a result of that experience, that's the lasting effect. That's the part that, shapes us into this other being after the journey. Because once you go through something in life, you're not the same person. You're different. You see things differently. And one of the things that I've discovered when I'm on the other side of my journey is how strong I am. But I never asked to be strong. I never asked for strength. You find us saying that sometimes you can go through things in life where you'll say, you know what, I don't want strength for this. I know I didn't. When I felt like I was down for the count, I was waving my little white handkerchief like I'm done, done. You know, I kept hearing songs or different phrases on the radio would stand out to me. I would overhear people's conversations, and God would talk to me through anybody and anything. And I remember saying out of my mouth, I don't want strength for this, because I know it was almost like, I was saying to God, I know what this is all about. I know why you're encouraging me. You're encouraging me so I can get back up. And I don't want to get back up, because getting back up meant I had to fight some more. I had to continue in the fight. And I was tired of the fight. I was tired of, you know, finding strength within myself to continue to overcome. Sometimes you can get exhausted in the process. So I understood that. So today we're talking about that phrase that we often say when we're going through something, when we're in the middle of it, and when we after all the dust settles and we're through it. I never asked to be strong. Tichet, talk to us today about that supernatural strength that a lot of us say we didn't even ask for.
hmm A lot of times if you recognize people that are strong tend to be people who do a lot of things on their own,
Mm,
right? They tend to be the people who always get things done, go-getters, people who you look at and you think they must have it all together, right? And that's because they have allowed life to happen and not have it knock them out. A lot of times we get knocked down, but did we really get knocked out? You don't get knocked out until you're out for the count, right? And so strong people allows themselves to be champions. They get up and they keep going and keep fighting and keep fighting and keep fighting and keep fighting and keep fighting. And it's like not fighting and having things happen is not really an option, but it's like, why can't it be easy for me sometimes? And so these people that we call strong tend to be black sheep, tend to be people who are by themselves. They are people who are loners because they are it's so much that they have gone through in life that it has taught them that everybody is not meant to be in their space. Everybody is not meant to be with them, and so they get this idea to protect their hearts, and so they're not going to allow anybody to come in and just do whatever they want to do and break their heart because they want to protect it. You don't get strong without having strength made circumstances,
mm,
right? So we have to be careful too for the people who are asking for strength. When you're asking for certain things, those things is going to come up as situations and circumstances. But for those of us that has been going through life and situations and circumstances has happened regardless of whether we ask for strength or not, um we look back at our past, right? And you can see clearly the strength where I've had strength. I've endured this and I made it. I did that and I made it. I went through this, I made it. I went through the fire and I made it. You see all of the things you've had to endure. I've lost, I've gained, I've lost, I've gained, I lost, I've gained. You see all of the pain that you went in through, and you look at it, and if you told somebody your story, they will say, wow, that's admirable that you made it through all that. And if you're not in a place where you are healed and whole, you'll look at that and say, but I didn't ask to go through all of that. Like, why did I have to go through all of that? This strength, you can keep it. A lot of people don't want to be called strong because they're tired of being strong. Some people are tired of having to be put in situations where it requires you to be the strong one. Sometimes we want to be the vulnerable ones too. Sometimes we want to be able to let our head down and let somebody else take over and fix the issue. But a lot of times the people who are considered strong are strong because they are the ones that has had to stand up for
mhm,
everybody and
mhm,
for everything. They are the ones that have had to fix everything. And so with the strength that we look at and we admire came a story. And so when we look at our strength, we can't reject our story. We can't undermine our story or underestimate our power, because we got to this level of strength because we were able to endure, right? And Dr. Toni, you said when people were talking to you, you said getting back up means fighting, and I'm tired. So you didn't want the strength for that. You didn't want the strength for this. You
mhm.
didn't want to get back and keep fighting. You wanted to stay down because you wanted somehow for it to be fixed
Yeah.
without you having to do it. But
Mm,
that just did not happen that way, right? And so you end up, instead of you allowing things to keep continuing on in the pain and misery, you got up and you fought. And then you found something in the midst of getting up and fighting. You found more gems for your journey. You found more wisdom, more ideas. You found more things that, more resources for the people that's um, following behind you. You
Mm.
found more ideas that help to keep you from going through the same thing over and over again. So even when we build the strength, we're not asking for strength in this moment, but in the midst of being strong, there's some things that are allotted to you.
Mhm.
There's some gifts and some rewards that come with being strong as well. So this is why we have to be careful when we looking at people who has some of the things we've been desiring and wanting, or have that stamina about themselves. We have to be careful with looking at them with admiration, because we don't know what they had to go through in order for them to stand the way that they stand. This is why you can't put your mouth on powerful people,
Yeah.
because you don't know what they
Mm.
had to withstand in order to get to that place of power.
Mhm.
And if you had to go through an inkling of what they went through, would you have been able to stand? This is why you have to look, when you look at people who put their mouth on you, you can't get so caught up in your ego and that you're upset that they put their mouth on you, because they put their mouth on something they didn't understand.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so you got to be okay with being misunderstood.
Mhm.
Why? Because as long as you understand your journey and why you got your strength and why you were able to withstand, and the fact that you weren't willing to give up and quit, and the fact that no matter what they threw at you, they could not knock you out.
Mhm.
As
Mhm.
long as you understand that you are more than a conqueror, then who cares what anybody else says? I
Mhm.
don't need strength for what people are saying for me.
Lord have mercy.
I need strength to get through these situations.
Yes. Yes.
I don't need strength for what people are saying about me. I don't need that. I don't need strength for to let people who hurt me back into my life. I don't need strength for that. So
Mm.
what do we need strength for?
Mm.
We need strength to protect our hearts. We
Mm.
need strength to continue on in a purpose. We need strength to continue on in a power. I don't need strength to keep reliving the past over and over and over again. I don't need strength for that. I
Mhm.
don't need strength for allowing people to dictate how I live my life. I don't need strength for that. Why? Because those things are non-existent for me. It don't mean they don't exist. It means it's non-existent for me. I'm not willing to put that into my experience. So you get to pick and choose some things that you are willing to put into your experience or not. You have a relationship with somebody who is toxic, right? And they talk to you like you trash, and they treat you like you trash. It could be a relationship, or it could be any type of relationship, a friend relationship, a love relationship, a family relationship, whatever relationship. You're in a toxic relationship, and they're treating you as if you were not God's human being, right? You don't have to settle for that. You can say to yourself, I don't want this in my experience, but it's going to come with some sacrifice. But
Yeah.
here's the thing, you have to look at what you're sacrificing to stay, as well as sacrificing to go. Are you sacrificing your spirit, your mental health, your mind, your ability to stay alive, to keep somebody who's not even showing you the energy of love? They're not even showing you the basics of respect and honor. And so, but when you look at the risk of losing them, what's worse, losing somebody else or losing yourself? So when you look at relationships, or anything at that matter, because a lot of times when we say stuff, you can look at it and see where it fits across the board, right? When you're doing anything, you have to look at what's being sacrificed. Are you being sacrificed, or is the losing of the thing being sacrificed? Now, here's the thing Dr. Toni said in previous episodes, you being sacrificed is not on the table. You are not an option for loss.
Mhm.
So everything else has to go, and that's going to take strength. Because if you accept strength for being the ability to let things that don't serve you go, you're not going to need all that strength all your life,
Mm.
to just for basic living. Why do I need strength for basic living? Why do I need strength to stay in a home where I'm safe, where I can be my vulnerable self. I can let the inner child out. Why do I need strength for that? Why do I need strength when I'm able to make common sense decisions and know that cause and effect goes hand in hand? Why do I need strength when I can pay attention to the cause and know that this is the effect? I need strength for the effect where I don't know the cause. But on a daily, why do we have to keep being strong for things we can put out of our lives? There's some things you're going to have to walk away from. You're going to have to walk away from negative self-talk. You're going to have to walk away from your limitations, arguing for your limitations, limited mindset, limited thinking. You're going to have to walk away from toxic conversations, relationships. You're going to have to walk away from some things at the reward of keeping you. You're going to have to sacrifice everything else and keep your spirit versus you sacrificing yourself for everything else, and you end up losing your whole soul. You got to be willing to have strength for some things and let go of strength for others. You don't need strength when you're in a safe place. When you're walking with power, let me tell you something. If you feel like you did not ask to be strong because you're in a place where you have to be strong, I'm telling you now to keep going, because if you keep going, you end up building a life that you don't have to be strong for. You don't have to fight all of your life. Be strong this one time to get you to a safe place where you don't have to keep swimming. Now you can walk on water. You don't have to keep feeling like you're drowning. You know how to float. You know how to tread. You know what it takes to survive. You don't need strength to live in power. You need strength to build power. The power is your strength. It becomes your strength after a while, and then you allow yourself to build a life that the power is in rotation. It's in a flow. You give out, you receive. You give out, you receive. You give out, you receive. So it doesn't take all of that. When life situations come in, you have your clarity and you have your power to apply to it. And so it doesn't hurt the way it used to. Because you're clear on what's going on. So you don't need strength when you know that things are not going to hurt as much. That's like needing strength for a 5-pound weight when you're used to lifting 30. There's a difference between maintenance strength and when you're building strength. There's a difference. When you are building strength, yes, you're going to feel some pain, but keep going, right? I did not ask for this strength, right? But the strength asks for you because it's needed for your power.
That's good. That's good.
It's needed for you to be able to carry this power, and then the power becomes your strength. But if you give up in the midst of building because you don't want to be strong anymore, you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to have to keep trying to build. If you keep quitting and stopping and keep quitting and stopping, and then you go and stop and go and stop, and you're not consistent, you're going to keep being in a position where you still feel like you're building. At what point do you want to say, I'm here, I made it? And you let the power be your strength, and then now you're doing maintenance. There's a difference. It's easier to maintain a thing than it is to build it.
Yes.
But when you build it and you take care of it, you don't have to keep rebuilding it.
Yes.
You allow it to grow from there. You can shift and change any room and make it something different. You don't have to rebuild the room all over again. But if you're making sure the foundation is strong, so if you're in a space where you need strength, keep building that strength, right? You didn't ask for it, no, but it called you because power called you, right? Keep building that strength and knowing that you're going to get to a place where you're not going to always have to fight, and you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. The end of the game, you make it. Spoiler alert, you win. At the end of this story you call life, you win. Spoiler alert, right? And so you go with that mindset and say, okay, the end result is I win, I win, I win. And let that idea give you the energy to withstand whatever you're facing right now, and let that be your strength if you need to. This is where you have the vision in ahead of you, and allow it to be your strength until your power kicks in. And once your power kicks in, you don't, it doesn't take what it used to take to hold you up.
Mhm.
Now you're able to walk in peace like it's nothing. You're able to do it like riding a bike. You can just get on and go. You don't even think. Now you walking through life with peace, and you multitasking at the same time now. Where you used to couldn't do things at the same time while trying to focus on your peace. Now
Mhm.
you can multitask. Now you can start adding people to your life. Let
Mhm.
me tell you something. Don't add anybody else to your life until you first learn how to love yourself.
Yes.
Because loving yourself is key to any relationship. If
Mhm.
any relationship is going to work, you're going to have to know how to work you first before working any relationship. Because you can't even begin to tell people how to treat you until you know how to treat you. And then you
Wow.
establish boundaries for yourself. And when you establish the boundaries, you don't go back on those boundaries to
Mhm.
satisfy other people's desire.
Mhm.
You keep those boundaries in place. Listen, let me tell you something. If you don't live in my house, you're not going to walk up in my house. You got to have that same mentality for your house. If you walk up in my house without my knowledge and without me being there, you are an intruder. Now, there's some people I might invite over, right? But everybody's not getting invited over to the house. Everybody's not invited. If you don't know how to act or talk to me like you have some sense, you're not invited over to my house. If you can't respect me on a basic level, you're not invited to my house. And if you come in my house, you're an intruder. You will seek the consequences for that. So that's when you stand up for it. But when you show people that you're not standing for the disrespect, they're going to know it's your house. They're going to stop at the door. She not going to let me in there. No, I'm not.
Mhm.
They gotta know you're willing to fight for yours if you have to. And a lot of times when people know you're willing to fight for yours when you have to, guess what?
Mhm.
Because a lot of people don't want to fight.
Mhm.
They're just trying to get you to commit to whatever their agenda is. They don't want to fight half the time. They just want you to do what they want to do. They want you to do their agenda. And so when you place your boundary, you stand on it unapologetically. No is a complete sentence. And
Mhm.
I don't want to is a complete sentence. It's simple. It's that simple. I don't want to unapologetically. Why do we have to make excuses for things we don't want to do, places we don't want to be, people we don't want to be associated with?
Mhm.
That should be no excuse. A simple I don't want to should suffice.
Mhm.
A simple no should be good enough. And anybody that can't understand your I don't want to or your no does not respect you on a basic level. I wouldn't even want nobody like that in my life if you can't respect me on a basic level. Why? Because I'm not going to disrespect people on a basic level. I care about people. So I need to be around people that care about me in order for me not to always be in a caring relationship by myself.
Yes.
Mm-mm. You have to make some changes, and it takes strength to make changes. And no, you didn't ask for strength, you asked for power, but you allowing the strength to get you to your power. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
Wow, that's incredible, Tichet. You're right. You didn't ask for the strength, but you have power, and it takes strength to master and harness and direct that power so that you're effective. People are doing things out here in this world, and they're the person in the position because people put them there because they look the part, but they're not effective. But you put somebody in that same position that has the power or the anointing or the gift to get the job done, and you wonder why they're so effective when they don't look the part, or they didn't look like they were that strong, they didn't look like they could handle it, but they're effective because of the journey. The journey strengthens us. We didn't ask to be strong. A lot of times we didn't ask to go through the things that we had to go through, but we came out with great substance. We came out with something that we can use along the way, not just for ourselves, but for also the benefit of others. It takes strength to encourage someone while tears are running down your cheeks. It takes strength, like you said, Tishet, to walk away from things that no longer serve you, but you're connected and tied to it. You have history with it. That's what you need the strength for. It takes strength, like Tishet said, to love yourself, to get to know yourself, to be okay with being by yourself, to understand yourself so that you're more effective. It takes strength to do that when everybody else is inviting you to the social events and everybody is here, there, and everywhere. It takes strength to say no. It takes strength to say, no, thank you. I'm going to stay home tonight, or I'm doing something else. It takes strength to work on you. How many people do you know now? If you're like us, of course you are attractive thinkers and visual encouragers. You're surrounded by people who do their work. But a lot of times you go out to different places and you encounter people, crossing paths with people that aren't interested in doing their work. So it takes strength to own your power and set your boundaries around people who don't even know what power and boundaries are. It takes strength to do that. And it takes strength for you to be okay with it and not carry their response on your shoulders and not carry their opinion about you on your shoulders. It takes strength for that. Let me share something with you. Strength is the ability to exert great bodily or muscular power. I like it when you said we need strength for power. I like that, Tichet, because you were right. And when I read this definition, strength being the causing you to be able to exert great bodily or muscular power, instead of muscular in parentheses, I put mental.
Mm-hmm.
Mental power. We need strength for mental power. Physically, strength is physically, vigorously, mentally robust, accompanied by great force or power. That's what strength is. Because of the direction that your journey took you in, attractive thinker, you now have great power. You came out with great power. That power needs to be protected. You earned that power. You went through something to get that. And that power is not available to everyone. You don't give your power away to everyone. It has to be guarded, protected, and directed. Your discernment will let you know in which direction to give this power to, because everybody can't handle power. Think about it. You went through it, you got the power, and then you're going to try and give it to someone who didn't go through it. It was because of what you went through that gave you the substance, the sustenance, the foundation of fortitude to handle that power. So your power, that's working in your life, could actually destroy someone else's life if you give it away for free, because they don't have the foundation, that they don't have the materials that power was built from. This is what I'm trying to get at here. I want us to see we didn't ask to be strong, but what we did ask for was a meaningful and fulfilling life. We
Yes.
didn't ask to be strong, but we did ask for joy, peace, and happiness. We did ask for adventure and excitement. We did want our lives to matter and to mean something. We wanted to make a mark. We wanted to find our purpose. You didn't ask to be strong, but you did ask for those things. You wanted those things. And it takes strength to protect those things once you acquire them. It takes strength to honor and guard and reverence those things once you acquire them. One of the things that I mentioned this to you a while ago, Tishet, my son was sharing something with me about a Miller's theory. He was in college and he was learning some things. He came home and told me something. He says, Mom, when back in the day when people would go through things, it was just a misfortune, just an unfortunate situation. Just, I call it a sad story. You would hear people go through things, and the result was just a sad story. Until the Miller's theory, when people started to realize that people who they saw who went through certain things, they had something that most people did not have. They came out with some characteristics that they didn't start the journey in. They came out stronger. They had qualities about them that were valuable, that they could use going forward in their lives, and that people gravitated to them for. And it was because of what they went through. We didn't ask to be strong, but there's value in your strength. See,
Mm-hmm.
don't think that you're just strong for strong's sake, or
Yes.
or the only thing that came out of your situations was for you to be strong. Strong for what did you need the strength for what you came out with. You went through something and you came out with things that are valuable that most people don't have. You don't think you need strength to protect that? You don't think people see that strength on you? They don't see the value and the great substance on you. You don't think they want that? A lot of people want a lot of things, but they don't want to go through what they have to go through to get them. You hear people say, oh, you can have whatever you want. Oh, you can create the life you want. Yes, but there's a price. There's something in between you and what you desire. You have to go through something. Now, going through something doesn't mean all the time mean a living hell. It doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
that. It could mean a sacrifice. Sometimes you got to shut up instead of talking. It could mean getting rid of, these relationships that no longer serve you. It doesn't always mean going through something doesn't always mean pain and suffering. It means being an adult and making adult decisions that are in alignment with your value system. That takes strength to do that, because you got to let things go. You got to let negative thoughts go that you've been, holding on to. And that those negative thoughts have been comforting you for years because they keep you from stepping up to the plate and making decisions. They justify what you're doing and how you're feeling, to be able to get rid of the negative thoughts that no longer serve where you're going. It takes strength to do that because now your body has to adjust to you thinking positive instead of negative. These emotions are still going to be present. Just because you decide to change your mind doesn't mean that your body is going to automatically follow. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some consistency. It's going to take some practice for your body to say, oh, we're doing something different, or oh, we're
Mm-hmm.
serious, we're not going back to what we used to do. Oh, this is how it's going to be going forward. Then after a while you'll realize, like Tichet said, it becomes easier to hold on to your strength and power. It's not going to be a fight all the time. Something else you said, Tishet, that I wrote down. This is why you can't put your mouth on powerful people, because you don't know what they went through to get that strength. See, power and strength is viewed is perceived as so people perceive it as something that they want. They highly esteem it. They envy it. Some of them hate to see you with it. I remember a superhero movie I was watching, The Incredible Hulk, and the Abomination said to him, "You don't deserve this power." And I that phrase never left me because it helped me to understand how people view you standing in your strength. Some people don't even think you deserve it. They see the blessing on your life. They don't know you could have lost something dramatic in order to get that. And they're feeling a certain way about something that they don't know nothing about. They don't know how you got that. You can't buy strength in the store. You have to go through something to get that. You can't buy muscles in the store. You got to go to the gym to get that. That's not something that's free and accessible. You got when I said you have to go through something, and I said it doesn't always mean a living hell. Yeah, you got to go through the gym to get muscles. You gotta hold on to the, so if you're gonna, I said I was being interviewed in Washington D.C. one time on a radio show, and I said to the host, I said, she said, what made you give birth to the attractive thinker? I said, I made up my mind, if it had to hurt that bad, it was going to have to count in my life. It was going to have to count for something. So the journeys that we take and we find ourselves in our lives, if you really have to go through something, please come out with something. Please come out with something that you can use and that you can support others in bettering their lives and enjoying their lives more, or enhancing their lives. Because that's the whole point of going through something, of having an experience, so that we can acquire things that we don't already have. We can develop things that we already have, but we can also acquire some things that we didn't know we had. Now we're walking tall. Now we're more confident when we say something. Now we know how to discern a opportunity from fraud and from a gimmick. Now we know how to love ourselves, like Tichette said. Sometimes you have to go through something in order to have the strength to put you first in front of everything else. Because sometimes it's not people that you have to put you first in front of. Sometimes it's things. Sometimes it's desires. Sometimes it's old habits. You know, I was talking to someone the other day and they were saying, as they always say, I'm going to start eating right. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to change my diet. And I said, hold on, wait a minute. Hold. I said, that's nice. I said, that is absolutely excellent. I applaud you for that. I said, but let me share something with you. Don't think that just because you say that you want to be healthy and you're going to change some things so that you can lose weight and live longer and things like that, don't think that your body and your cravings and your triggers and your emotions are going to support you. Don't think that they're going to support you immediately, like Tichet said. With consistency, see, that's the thing. When I said sometimes the things you have to go through aren't a living hell, in this case, the thing that you would have to go through is keeping your word, being
Mm-hmm.
serious about what you said you were going to do concerning your health. What you need, see, this is where you need the strength. What you need strength for in this case is choosing the water over the soda. And it's a subtle shift. You're right there in the moment. The water is in your right hand, the soda is in your left hand. And it's a very subtle choice. And guess what? You're free to make whatever choice you want. But there are consequences with both. And it's so subtle that that voice can come back and say, well, you could just drink this soda. It's just let this be the last soda. This will be the last soda, and then you can go ahead and into your little fitness routine or whatever. You can listen to that voice, and then after you drink it, all the other voices that were hiding behind that voice, they all come out in full force, and then you start feeling terrible about yourself. And why they got
Yes.
me again, they got me again. Why did I yield? I said I wasn't going to drink sodas and this and that and the other. Or you can drink the water and you can walk away from the soda and turn your back and go on and do whatever else you were going to do and sit with that energy and that feeling for a moment because it's going to subside. It is not going to choke you to death. It's not going to kill you. It will subside, but you got to sit with that energy and say, you know, I really did have a taste for the soda, but I chose the water because the water was in alignment with what I said I was going to do with my life. The soda wasn't in alignment with that. I really did have a taste for the soda, you know, and then that voice just keeps. And after a while, you get distracted by the work that you're doing, and you go back to doing what you were doing, and it subsides. You won that situation right there. You won that challenge. You won that trigger, and that's why you need strength for things like that to keep your word, to reach your goals, to take action when you feel like procrastinating. You need strength for that. So you never ask for this strength, but it is extremely beneficial on the road ahead because you don't know what's up ahead that you're going to need the strength for. God doesn't give us things that we don't need to use. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
need it somewhere along the line. So on page 304, Tachet, you talked about mindset maintenance, and we talk about that all the time. That's what our website is all about, the attractive thinker guru. Mental healing for mental strength, mental healing for mindset maintenance, and mental healing so that you can have mental clarity while you're working on your visions, your dreams, and your ideas as a new and aspiring entrepreneur. So I trust that you already have your copy of the Attractive Thinker Experience on Amazon. Turn to page 304, and that's where we talk about mental tools for mindset maintenance. So why did I reference that? Tools. Tools. So I was writing down the word tools and I was thinking to myself, tools are used to maximize, target, focus, and properly apply your strength. See, you have strength. Think about this. And I was doing this just last night. I had a hammer in my hand. I was putting an anchor in the wall so that I could eventually put the screw in there. The anchor, I made the hole and I was putting the anchor in the hole, but it wasn't going in with just my hand. I was exerting force and I was wiggling it, turning it, and it wasn't going in with just my hand. So I got a hammer, a tool. Sometimes, attractive thinker, in your life, you're going to need these mental tools to stay mentally strong. And I say sometimes, but I use these mental tools every single day so I can stay mentally strong because the mind needs constant attention and constant care so you don't slip back. And I'm telling you, one moment of not maintaining your mind and paying attention to your mind, you'll be in the refrigerator eating stuff that you're not supposed to be eating, mindlessly eating. And then before
Mhm.
you realize what you're doing, you're like, daggone it, I said I wasn't going to eat that. I said I was going to
Mhm.
be healthy. Or I said I was going to do this or that or the other. So I'm taking this hammer and I'm hitting this anchor. And understand this, attractive thinker, tools help you uh, focus your strength and focus your energy. Without that tool, I was using and exerting energy, but it wasn't targeted. It wasn't laser focused. It wasn't right on. You know, I said hit the nail right on the head. I wasn't hitting the nail right on the head. But when I picked up the tool of a hammer, when you pick up this attractive thinker experience and discover these mental tools to keep you mentally strong, you're now accomplishing more. You're now perceiving things properly instead of perceiving them in a way that they are hindering you and holding you back, because it's real easy to face a challenge and then your mind says, see, I told you you weren't going to get that far. But when you have mental tools, you properly perceive these challenges so in a way that they don't hold you back. And you can hit the nail on the head, attractive thinker. I want you to understand this. You didn't ask to be strong. I didn't ask to be strong, but I needed the strength for the journey that I was to take in my life, for the goals that I was supposed to reach in my life. I needed strength to do that. It takes strength to pull yourself, remove yourself from the masses and go in a different direction with your life. It takes strength to break a generational pattern that you don't want to see repeat in your generation or the generations going forward. It takes strength to bring something new into the bloodline. You know why it takes strength to do that? Because everybody else is doing the other thing. And then here you come trying to do a new thing. Now you got to face their opinions of you. And I remember Oprah saying this on a video. One of the first things people say, well, who does she think she is? And one of the things I've had said to me all the time, oh, you think you cute, or you think you this, or she think, here's a big one, you think you're better than everybody else. No, I don't think I'm better. I just want better. That's a difference. You don't have to walk around like you think you better just because you want to create something new and different for your life. That's why it takes strength. It takes strength to face that opposition because it doesn't feel good when people misinterpret your good intentions. You know your heart is right. You know that's not what you're doing. You know you would help them if they asked you for help. Help them write their book or launch their business idea or give them a hand with whatever they're doing. And to be interpreted with your good, it takes strength not to allow that to crush your spirit. It takes strength to embrace clarity instead of the negative perception. It takes strength not to yield to that and say, well, yeah, you're right. I thought I was somebody. I thought I could do something bigger and better and grander. You know what? You're right. I'm not. I reached too far. I shouldn't have launched out that deep. I'm not trying to offend y'all. I'm not trying to hurt y'all feelings. No, 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 no. If you want something out of life, it's going to take some strength. You have to be strong and stand firm on what it is that you want and own it and unapologetically, and don't make excuses for it. And we grow to that stage to share. I had to grow to the place whereas I owned my space in the world. And I don't make excuses. I got to the place where I got tired of explaining my goodness. That's not
Mhm.
what I meant. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Or that's not what I said when I said that. Or that's not what I was trying to help. No, no, no. When you're around the right people, they know your heart already. You're not being falsely accused of things that you're not doing because they understand your heart already. And that's why it's important. See, again, it takes strength to build these strong circles of influence around us with the right people. It takes strength to pull yourself away from one person and embrace another type of person. It takes strength to do that. And when you're around the right people, they want Oprah said this. When you want to be around people who want to see you at your best. She said the right people want to see you be your best.
Mhm.
If you're around people and you share your, my father says this to me often. He said, be careful who you share your dreams with because everybody is not happy for you. And that's the truth. My father is 81 and he's an author, and he's always sharing his little writings, with people, and he can tell who's for him and who's not, because sometimes they'll shut it down and they'll start talking about something else or talking about the weather after he just shared with them a revelation that he just received. And it doesn't mean that anything is wrong with them. It's just me. You're not around people who are on your same wavelength, people who support you and want you to be your best. They exist and it takes strength. It's up to us to find them, because what does that mean? You got to leave these people. You're like, well, Dad, I've been hanging out with them for 15 years. Yep, you got to leave these people. You got to minimize your interaction with them and maximize your interaction with people who support what you're doing. So when we say, I never asked to be strong, I trust that you have a different perspective on your strength and why it is necessary. Everybody doesn't have that kind of strength that you have, attractive thinker and visual encourager. People want to be that strong. They see that strength on you and they admire it. I know, because sometimes, because of the things that we went through, that we've gone through, we would rather give the strength back if we didn't have to go through what we went through. But it's necessary for the life that is ahead of you. It's necessary for the life that you're living right now. You're living the life that you're living now. You survived that. You didn't just survive it, you're thriving as a result of it because of the strength. You were being strengthened and fortified throughout the entire process, and you didn't even know it. I know I didn't know it. See, when we begin to look beyond the surface, that's what attractive thinkers do. We see beyond what we're looking at. Then we can see the hand of God in our lives. We can see the blessing and the lesson, and we can see how we are better as a result of some of the things that we've gone through. See, it's not fair to us as human beings to look at our journey through one lens, and that lens is the pain, all that I had to go through to get here. And we forget the other lens. Look at who I am now.
Mhm.
Look at how far I've come. Look at what I've overcome. Look at where my mindset is now. Look at how I think now. Listen to how I talk now and how I walk now. Look at the things that don't even bother me, that used to really crush my spirit before. They don't even bother me anymore. Think about that aspect of your journey when you look back on your journey. I have to do it, and I'm asking you to do the same thing. Tichet, talk to us today and give us your final comments. I never asked to be strong.
It's a lot of things that I was thinking while you were talking. We think, why do I need strength? Why did this situation happen to me? Why, right? And the truth of the matter is we don't always know why,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
All we know is that we have these physical beings. We are these physical beings in these physical bodies with these five senses, our personality, to experience the earth. We are here to everybody is here to experience what this created earth is,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're experiencing life through situations. Life is going to happen, okay? And so, even though life has thrown you some curveballs, it also has thrown you some goodness, right? And so, we can't get so caught up on the disasters that happen, the bad things that happen, that we forget the good that happened, right? The bad things does shape us. The
Mm-hmm.
good things comfort us, help us, causes us to grow and nourish us. The bad things does help shape us, right? And no, nobody wanted to go through what we had to go through to get here.
Yes.
But what happened with that is we didn't want to settle.
Mm.
for an unfulfilled life. We couldn't settle for being like regular people. We couldn't
Yeah.
settle for being just average and mediocre.
Mhm.
If we could, we wouldn't have had to fight so hard. What were you fighting for? You
Mm.
were fighting for the right to not have to be average, and
Mhm.
that required strength.
Yes.
So, like you said, even though you weren't asking for strength, you was asking for the right to not be average.
Mhm.
And those two go hand in hand. And
Yes.
so while you are being strong and withstanding these situations and not willing to just give up and settle and just live a life you could care less about.
Yes, my God.
That
Mm.
would have been the easier way to go.
Mm.
The easier way would have been to say, screw it all, whatever, and not do nothing.
Mm.
That would have been an easier way, but you weren't satisfied with that. You weren't satisfied with just not doing nothing. You weren't satisfied with watching everything around you being broken. You wasn't satisfied with having all this stuff undone and chaos everywhere and confusion, and you wasn't satisfied with watching people suffer. You wasn't satisfied with all of that stuff, all the stuff that didn't get done. You weren't satisfied. Why? Because you were called for greater. If you can't be satisfied for less, that's an indicator that you were called for greater. And that is going to take strength, right? But accept the strength. Don't be mad at the strength. Accept the strength because it's necessary for where you are going. It's absolutely necessary. Why? Because the life that's calling you, okay, so if you couldn't get comfortable with this life of mediocrity, mundane, routine living, you couldn't get used to the regular way of things, the box. You couldn't get used to the box, which is the standard way of living, right? Something, something had to be calling you up higher. Otherwise, you would have gotten comfortable. And then you, every time you tried to make yourself comfortable in the mediocrity and all that stuff, it's just something you just couldn't, you just couldn't. And then you start blaming yourself. Why can't I just be like everybody else? Why do I have to always go through this? Why does everything have to be so hard? Why do I have to always open my mouth and say something? Why do I always have to help people? Why do I always have to be the one to be there for everybody? Why do I always have to be the one to fix it?
Mm.
Because power called you.
Mm.
Power and purpose called you from the get-go.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so while you were going through life, you were building strength. Didn't even know it.
Mm.
Didn't even know it. You were building strength for the point that you're reaching now.
Yes.
You
Mm.
were building up strength so that the life that you're building now is a life that's withstandable, that can sustain anything. Just because a storm comes doesn't mean it have to hit your home. It
Yes.
doesn't have to break you apart. Life is always going to happen. That's one thing we can be certain of.
Mhm.
Life is going to happen, good or bad. Whatever you call life, it is going to happen. Everybody has life happening. Nobody is exempt from life happening. No matter how strong you think you are, life is going to happen. That's something we can't run away from. But just because life happened does not mean your house has to crumble. And we need strength to make sure we build a house solid enough that when the littlest things happen, we're unbothered. But when the big things happen, we can withstand it. Right? And so for that, I'll accept this strength.
Mm.
I'll accept these situations if it's causing me to build mental muscle.
Mm. Mm.
Being without my mental tools is not an option now. Once I've known all that I have come through, and once I have collected the tools along the way, and I can put it out of my mind for now, but at the same time, a lot of my situations are deep rooted. And so when it's deep rooted, you still have the tools, even though you don't use the tool, some certain tools every day, you still have it deep down in. So if something should come up again, I know how to handle that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you're not being caught off guard now. So
Yes.
all those situations that happened to you have helped you to gain a mental tool. You have learned how to heal the inner child. You
Mm.
have learned how to heal yourself in the journey. And look, while you were on the road to being strong and figuring out how to do this thing called life and learning how to have strength to heal your journey, all of that you have gained not only healed you, but healed everybody that's connected to you.
Mm.
Healed everybody who is willing that's connected to you, because everybody ain't willing. You have to be careful who you share your strength with. It is possible to share the strength with the wrong people.
Yes. Yes, it is.
You're like, here, I got this and I got this, and they stepping right on it. And then
Mm.
what happened? You feel like you're the weak one. You mistake yourself for the weak one. And then you're in your room trying to get yourself together, and now you need strength to just live for the next day.
Mm.
Let's stop having a life, living a life that we have to keep apologizing for, and that we have to keep trying to get ourselves together over and over again. You go to a job you can't stand, you got to get yourself together overnight just to go to that job again. We're not saying not to have an income, but if you got to work in something that's good, work in something that you feel okay with. I can't imagine getting up every day and going somewhere I hated.
Mm.
I used to. I used to for years. I would cry in the parking lot
Mm.
for years.
Mm.
I used to cry in the parking lot. I hated the walls in that place. But
Mm.
I went there every year consistently. But now I'm consistent. Now, instead of doing that consistently, I applied the consistency to my vision.
My God.
So the same effort of work I gave to that company is the same effort of work I'm giving to my own vision.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the same effort that I'm giving to my mental health and my spiritual health and my financial health and my relationship health. I'm giving that same energy to
Mm-hmm.
myself,
Mm.
because you can be a worker, be in the wrong place, and run yourself ragged and dry.
That is so true.
But when you start working in the right thing, and you apply that same worker bee energy to it, you start bearing fruit, and fruit stop bearing fruit, and that fruit stop bearing fruit, and then you got enough for everybody, and everybody look around like, what was you in here doing? And you sitting there talking like, here, take some of these cucumbers and these tomatoes and stuff. And girl, yeah, so I did this. And you're giving out fruit, and it's nothing to you because there's more where it came from. So
Yes.
let's just keep in mind that the strength that we didn't ask for is allowing us to build so much fruit that when we give out, we got so much more power where that came from.
Yes.
That it ain't nothing for me to answer a question. That's how we're on this show every week,
Mm.
because we did the work consistently.
Mm.
We
Mm.
built and we built and we built and we built. Through the tears, we built.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you got to cry through it, build.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Because there's going to come a time where you build something so solid and so strong that you're not going to have to lay in it and cry
Mm.
every day of your life. You're laying in. Why would I lay in a place of peace and cry?
Mm.
Why would I lay in my safe space and cry? I should be able to be vulnerable in there because I'm not vulnerable to pray in my safe space. So what I have to do in this moment, if I don't feel safe, is build my safe space.
Yes.
What I have to do is build a space where I can be myself. And
Mm.
what I have to do is build a space that I can be proud of and happy of, that I wake up every day and I feel just joyous just to be able to experience life from that place. I'll be able to build from that place,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is why we need the strength. We need the strength to get to that. The strength has nothing to do with what you had to go through. What the strength came out of what you went through. The strength has to do with where you going.
Mm.
The strength is to build the power for where you going. And let me tell you something. When we talk about building the muscles and all of that stuff, and you was talking about losing the weight, Dr. Toni, and I've done that. I sat there for 2 years and I weight lifted and I lost like 30 pounds, right? And I got to the point where I was at my goal, okay. And then I was like, okay, well, um, I had gotten stuck in a mindset of still feeling like I needed to build, right? I'm still pushing like I'm building. And then at one point I started passing where I was and I was going a little too far to the left. because my mindset was still in, I still need strength, I still need strength, still need strength. I didn't see myself at the point where I needed to maintain. I still saw myself as I had body dysmorphia. Right? So we can have mental dysmorphia where we're looking at ourselves as something that we are not. We're still looking at ourselves as that broken person, that out of shape life. We're still looking at ourselves as the person we were when we were brokenhearted. Even when we got to a place of goodness, we still looking at ourselves as somebody who was drowning. Right? So I had a body dysmorphia, and I kept building like I was trying to lose some stuff. Right? And so I had to then shift to understanding that I made it. I made it. So how can I maintain it from here? Because it doesn't always have to be this hard. That was a fulfilling feeling to get to your place of vision and to recognize that you made it. And then you allow yourself to enjoy it. Right? Because it is possible to get to your vision, still have the wrong mindset about yourself, still feeling like you have to build, and never allowing yourself the ability to enjoy the fact that you made it to your vision. You worked hard for it.
Yes.
At what point do we enjoy that we're in our place of peace? At what point do we enjoy our happiness or enjoy the fruits of our labor? We should be able to enjoy the fruits of our labor. It's not for everybody else. It's for you too. Your gift, your strength, all your power, it's good for you too. It's not just so you can help everybody else and be there for this person and pick up that person. It's for you too. It's for you to be able to pour out without having to pour out from your cup. You pour out of your overflow, right? So when you come across somebody who is thirsty, you give them something to drink. You're not pouring from your necessities. You're pouring from your overflow. See, the thing is a lot of us will get our cup full to the brim and start giving some of our cup to people who wasn't even thirsty, because we feel like since we thirsty, they must be thirsty too. And they wasn't thirsty, but they was willing to take a sip. And then they take a sip and they go, why are you drinking that? Don't waste my sips. I'm still thirsty. You know what I mean? Don't waste it. You poured them a half a cup. They took one sip and put it down. You know what you could have done with the rest of that cup? You could have made it overflow. So it didn't matter, because if it's overflowing, it was something you was willing to give up anyway. You didn't feel that giving. See, giving, we're supposed to be joyful givers. When you're giving out of your overflow, it's joyful. It's a good feeling, because it was something that you didn't feel the effects of letting it go. Right? So let's take the garden for a second. You have a garden. You grew cucumbers, and you thought you wanted 10 cucumbers, but in this garden you built 30. Right? You got 30 cucumbers. Your friends and family come over. Some of them hungry, some of them are not. You got 30 cucumbers, and you know that you're overflowing in cucumbers, and you got another harvest coming. See, that's what we got to understand. When we get to a place of strength and power, it keeps on giving. The gift keeps on giving. The harvest is over. It's a cycle of harvest. We have to get out of the cycle of being broken and get into the cycle of being free and being blessed and being abundant. It's so used to our mind to get into the cycle of being of having the carpet taken from under our feet. It's so easy to think that stuff. But is it easy for you to think that a consistency of overflow can happen? So you have the friends and family that come over, and you're giving it to, you're not missing it. You're not at the end of your night like that. I shouldn't have gave them those cucumbers. What am I going to do for a salad tomorrow? What am I going to do? I don't have any cucumbers. And now I got to go to the store and get cucumbers. And now you're regretting giving. That's what happened. See, when you regret giving, it's because you gave out of something you didn't have yourself.
My God.
I remember doing that. I remember giving people time and energy I didn't have. I barely had time for myself. And then somebody will call with the need for my time and energy, and I would give it, and I would be at the end of the night trying to scramble up crumbs for myself from myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that I have it backwards. So I had to flip it and give myself enough strength in the morning
Mm-hmm.
to cause me to overflow. So when I give to people, I'm not missing it. And so I can give freely and I can give with a whole heart. And I'm not giving in the wrong energy because I understand everybody's not thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not wasting my words, my energy, my time. I'm not wasting none of that. That's like going outside and just throwing money on the ground. Your currency, time, energy, all of those things that are important. You don't go and just waste it. You can spend it, sow it, or save it, but don't waste it. Right? And so you have to be mindful of where you put it into.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just give it into everybody. Everybody's not ready for your type of energy. And that's okay. That's okay because they have people that have the type of energy that they need, right? So your thing is you got to be willing to let that go so that now you have an open for people who love your type of energy effortlessly.
Mm.
Why do I have to suppress myself just to have a conversation? I'd rather talk to the wall. And now I'm serious. I am in a state where if I'm talking to somebody and they like this, I'd rather talk to a wall, right? Because what happens is it's the same thing. You're not getting a response that is helpful.
Mm.
At
Mm.
least the wall have enough sense to shut its mouth, right? But when you're talking to somebody that's not receptive, and not only are they not receptive, but all they can give you is criticism, not constructive, but criticism, keep that. I'd rather talk to a wall. And I remember talking to somebody, and I did talk to a wall. And they said, "Why you talk to a wall?" I said, "Because it's a better response."
Mm.
It's the same thing. I needed to get this out of my mind.
Mm.
I needed to say this, so I just said it to the wall because
Mm.
you weren't listening. So we have to get into a space where there's some things we're not going to tolerate. And not having strength ain't one of them.
Yeah.
We have to have strength. It's necessary for the power and the production of our thing that we call life. Your
Mm-hmm.
life is a whole production.
Yes.
Why would we not want to have strength for that production and then get to enjoy the movie we produced?
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to enjoy our journey. The journey along the way was rough. And Dr. Toni, when we were doing skits and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
we would write the skits and then rehearse them and then act, and the skits would change and grow over time. Some things would be in there that didn't need to be in there. You would take some stuff out and add some stuff in. But there was also some frustrations that went on throughout the course of building that script from the time we started writing to the time we put it on the set, right? And then when we got out and we produced it, it's like we wasn't thinking about all the struggles that went in at the time we were on the stage acting. We took on the characters of those scripts and we acted out the production.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we produced it all the way up and then we displayed the production, right? But when we came off of that stage, we came off with a CD
Mm-hmm.
where we were able to go home and watch our production.
Mm-hmm.
That's the stage I'm in right now. When I look back at all my struggles, my pain, and the time I had to have strength, and the time I cried, and the time I went through different sets of abuse and different things, and the time I felt like giving up and calling out and clocking out, all those times I look at, I see the whole production now. And so now when I look back at life, it's like watching a movie because I see the end. I see how it played out. It played out at the end, we win, right? We win at the end. The vision came to pass. The power is there. And now I get to see how it was being built. You get to enjoy your life as a whole. That's healing. That's what we're going for. We're going for healing and wholeness. And so settling for not having strength just to fit what? Because we don't want to deal with anything called life. We don't want to deal with life circumstances. That's not an option. If it was, you would have settled.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't. So that means there was some power going on in you that needed to come out. And the way that it pulled it out, unfortunately, was through situations and circumstances that we didn't always foresee coming. Some we said, some we saw coming, some we didn't. So don't regret the journey. It was necessary for your health. It was necessary for you to build this life that's calling you right now. A
Mhm.
lot of us are calling a life that is grand and that is loving, where we'll get to see the fruits of all of our labors. We'll get to see that every tear we cried was nourishing a seed. It was necessary.
Mhm.
And for that, you'll be forever grateful. You can find me on my website at www.visualencouragement.com. We provide mental support for movers and shakers, for trailblazers, pathfinders, and groundbreakers. For all you visionaries who desire to move mountains but need help lifting the heaviness so that you can create a new vision for yourself. Go to my contact us page, put in your website, let me know how I can uplift you, enlighten you, and encourage you so that you can live a life of fulfillment, the one that you love, beyond the break. Again, that's www.visualencouragement.com. See you soon.
Awesome. Attractive thinkers, we are so excited that you heard this message today. We're excited to share it with you. We trust that you have captured these gems, so many gems that we dropped today in your Attractive Thinker notebook. And listen to this message again. Read your notes again. Read your notes again and again and again until it gets in. It's not enough just to hear a message one time and then just take that and live off of that until the next message. Study this message, apply it, break it down word by word, phrase by phrase, and apply it to your specific situations, be it in your health or your energy and your spirit or relationships or environment or your business or your finances, whatever area that you feel as though needs to be addressed. Take this message and apply it there. You'd be surprised how just these subtle shifts that we make in our lives can make all the difference in the world and our progress as new and aspiring entrepreneurs. If you have not already done so, I want to encourage you to get your copy of the Attractive Thinker Experience, this transformational experience, 726-page full color hardcover experience to support you as a new and aspiring entrepreneur in writing your book and launching your business ideas and transforming your life without all of the mental turmoil that is, really holding us back. Mindset can hold all of us back if we don't have the correct mindset and the proper tools to apply when we hit these mental roadblocks. So I want you to get your copy, but also visit the website, theattractivethinker.guru, and get your free gifts there. You hear us always say our life's work, that is to make your life better. Remember, attractive thinker, it is not what you're going through, it's how you're doing. Think attractively. And we'll see you soon.